watching the game with Lee, and thank you very much for Tom Young for doing your match report straight from Goodison Park. Did you manage to get back last night, Tom, or did you stay over?
No, I kept over in a stinky little travel lodge in Liverpool. And yeah, the minute I could get up and get out in the morning, I did because I didn't feel too well after being there.
You
I
did
kept
get home
over
and get a
there.
shower, mate, just in case.
Yeah, I've had a couple. Showered in bleach at one point. I thought I've got to be sorry after being there for overnight. So
Oh, fantastic! Well, we got a guest on tonight, Josh Lawless. How are we doing, Josh? You okay?
Good, mate. Nice to be here.
Fantastic. You work for, we do a lot of work for Sports Bible, don't you? Do you want to give a bit of an intro about what you do?
Yeah, so it's just I've been there about 4 years full time now. Started very early. I actually used to, like as a kid, would sell football magazines that I'd done in school. So that was my early beginnings, as you like. And then just kept doing. I did work experience at City actually, which was like being like 16, dream come true. Just kept pursuing it. Eventually, got my foot in the door, and yeah, been blessed to have like interviewed some pretty big people, a few City players as well. So yeah, living a dream in that.
You did your work experience at City. You
Yes.
lucky bastard. That must have been amazing.
Unbelievable. I remember it was what did I do? I think my head teacher, I'd seen an article I'd done, and then he sorted me an interview with Bernard Alford, the late Bernard Alford, legend.
Yeah.
So I went down to the offices, City at Home offices near the stadium, interviewed him. He sorted out some work experience, and then in the media department, I was there for a week, and it would have been Pellegrini's 2014-15, I think it was. So he got to cover a couple of the reserve games and stuff, youth team. Remember, I watched the Champions League draw with Mangala, which was a bit weird.
That's a bit surreal.
There's all sorts of mad stuff going on, and then I just kept doing a few more bits.
You didn't nutmeg him, did you?
No, I probably could have done. But yeah, it was just a like a surreal thing for me. I was like 16, getting my GCSEs, and I was there, sort of rubbing shoulders, and it was top. I was a bit good. I never quite got in there. I thought they're going to offer me a job here, but live and learn. Everything's worked out pretty well, yeah.
So where did you have your interview with Bernard Alford then? Your meeting with Bernard Alford?
It would have been. There's like some offices that they used to use, literally right next to the stadium.
At Main Road?
No, at the Etihad,
At the Etihad.
where you'd normally pick up your tickets and stuff. I think, like I remember I picked up my Real Madrid tickets there. It was in that building, but obviously now, a couple of years now, they've had obviously the plush facilities at the CFA, and that's where everything's been based. So that started it, yeah, and then. In fact, I've been back there since doing a few bits for Sport Bible, and I remember I interviewed KDB while I was playing FIFA against him. And that was something else. And
did you beat him?
And
tell me you beat him.
No, he beat me 2-1 actually. My excuse is I was focusing on the interview, but he was just better than me. He was class. And then the weird story I've got actually is I did Foden's first ever interview, but like slightly illegitimately, because it was like we're talking about modern media through Instagram, and he answered all the questions. This would have been FA Youth Cup final, I think, when he's just hearing his name a bit. I think he would have been 16, and I remember I got in quite a bit of trouble from City because they were like safeguarding and they weren't too happy. But I'm like, well, that's my claim to fame now, Ballon d'Or winner. Oh yeah.
Oh, I absolutely love that. What was Phil like? I can imagine not very media savvy at that age.
Not at all. I mean, you can't blame him, but he gave enough stuff that like I could use basically. So he talked about like Arteta would always tell him that Pep's always watching you. He bigged up Silva a lot, and from even then he was like, I want to be here my whole life. I want to be a City legend, and he's well on course to do that now. And it's just great seeing his rise.
Oh, just a bit. And
was that around the time when he made his like first team debut thing in that American tour? Where Pep hailed him as this new miraculous midfielder that we've all been waiting for.
I think it would have been just before that. I remember he was on the bench once, funny, against Celtic. It would have been that season, I think. we had a couple of years where we got to the Youth Cup final, but Chelsea were just slightly better. And then, yeah, before you know it, he was nutmegging Ander Herrera and making him look like an absolute mug, wasn't he?
I love that. So, have you literally just your career has just gone straight into sports? Then you've not looked back, I suppose.
Yeah, I had a place at uni, deferred it for a year, took a bit of a risk, and there was a time where I was thinking, well, doing freelance work basically, but with the freelance you wouldn't get paid until like a month later. So if you're like 17, 18, it's not too bad. If you're like 30 odd and you got kids, it's probably a bit of hard work. I was all right with it, but it sort of paid my dues a bit, and then everything's worked out, and now enjoying it.
So who do you think is the most famous footballer you've interviewed so far? Then it's got to be Kevin up to now. Then
I don't want to be like a big name dropper, but
no one else is going to sell you, mate. You sell yourself, pal. Yeah. Never stop selling yourself.
I'd say so KDB, and then the main man Vinny Kompany, which was like I couldn't believe that one. Couldn't believe, and he's got a presence about him as well. He's just like, I don't know. I a little bit nervous beforehand. It was to do with the homeless stuff he was doing with Andy Burnham before his testimonial.
You weren't pretending to be homeless, were you?
No.
You weren't carrying a sleeping bag around with you just to get a chat to or anything like that, were you? No.
It's perfectly legitimate means and everything. And yeah, like it was mainly on that focus. But I asked him a couple of City ones as well, and just made you feel dead at ease. And even I think at the time, the team for his testimonial hadn't been announced, and he was asking me who I thought he should play against. It's not really up to me, Vinny, but I'll give you some insight if you want.
So, Josh, and Tom, I suppose we'll go with this. So, well, first I've got a quick one before we move on. I obviously contacted you, Josh, and Josh's Twitter profile pictures him and Jadon Sancho, and his back ones him and Eden Hazard. But has he got a picture of Andy Hinchcliffe like I am? Don't think so. So
who's the real winner?
I'm winning.
Absolutely.
Right. Anyway, so I just told you off air. Reason I got you on, Josh, because I thought it'd be decent to talk about, like you said, you've done the freelance journalism and now you're working for Sports Bible, which isn't. Well, it's not like it's mainstream now, but back in the day. You're talking, the mainstream was us getting goals on a Sunday, and now it's like, I've got an opinion that people are watching now to hear what I've got to say about City. I'm not saying that I'm anything. Same with you, same with Tom. Tom, you're going down the more like journalism route for a more serious thing than the Manchester is Blue show as well.
Hey, whoa.
Yeah, but we are just beer and banter, aren't we?
Try to be.
So I just wondered what your opinion is of that. Do you think it's better for the thing, or do you think we should be leaving it to more professional people like you and Tom? Another thing, we'll go with that, because I'm going to say about you've met more modern players. I just wondered how much that affects more modern players when you're speaking to them with social media.
Yeah, I think everyone's got an opinion, haven't they? And everything as last couple of years, I was moved into like that fan content, all the fan channels. And I mean, Gary Neville sitting down with Arsenal Fan TV was like a big moment, because I think for me that was like the fans are getting accepted. And I know a lot of it gets memed and stuff and all that, but it's great to see like you don't have to be some sort of expert on football. If you've got an opinion, there's means and mediums to do that now. And I think with Sport Bible, I've maybe enjoyed it more from different sort of outlets that I've done stuff for, because I can just be a fan, and I don't have to be sort of by the book in a way, and you get a lot of freedom to do that sort of stuff, give your opinion, but also like you can do it in a fan way rather than just like being a bit mainstream in a way. But definitely the social media thing has change the way content is consumed, and particularly for football. I mean, it's got its negatives, but it's certainly got its positives as well.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because you see, I see both what you two do, you and Tom do. What you two and Tom do is very, very similar. But there's completely, it seems like there's two different trains of media that goes into that. Tom, in your experience of coming through the ranks and what you're doing, I can't remember the company you're doing it for. Sorry, mate. Go on, give them a shout out. Vetas?
I'm with Vavel at the minute.
Vavel,
just right.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah, that's the one. It's. Do you see the career and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to do with sports journalism? Can you? I suppose what I'm asking is, I see the written press, I see the printed press dying off, within the next 15, 20 years. I just can't see it being sustainable for environmental, or just because I think the world's changing. My kids certainly won't be picking up a paper when they're older. I can't see that. What you're doing now, how would you expect that to change into the mainstream? Is there a sort of divide between what we do as fans, as the fans' opinion, and the more professional stuff, which what you two do?
I see. The thing is, I'm sort of at a stage now where I went down a different route to Josh in that I went through university, and I come out of university. And I started writing for Vavel whilst I was there. They take on a lot of student writers to give them sort of a platform to write on, and work my way to Manchester City editor there. So I cover all the City content for the site. But I'm sort of at a stage now where I'm still doing what's available to me to get myself sort of the full-time breaks. I don't write full-time for Vavel or anything like that, to get myself the full-time break that I can. But when I write for Vavel, whilst I write as a City editor, I have to obviously write from a neutral perspective, unlike obviously like what Josh says, what he does at Sport Bible, where it's you can have sort of that fan's opinion on things, and it's more creative. But as far as social media goes and things like you say, like the Manchester Blue show, I think fans will always want to see the fan side of things as opposed to just the professional side. So we obviously have people who watch the show from all over the world, and especially people who are from outside of Manchester, who can see local Manchester City fans talking about the club from a perspective of someone, from people who go to the game and who know what it's like to live in Manchester and be a City fan. I think that's something with every club, like Josh said with Arsenal Fan TV, and like with the United stand and things like that, although I know Mark Goldbridge isn't from Manchester, wherever he's from, Nottingham or whatever, but people always want to see local fans having an opinion on the club, because it gives them a view that you don't get. The mainstream media aren't ever going to publish us for chatting rubbish about City for an hour, but people know when they come to things like our show and things like that, they know what to expect and they know what they're getting. And that's why, like you say, we've seen sort of the more successful City have got, the quicker this page has grown. And obviously it seemed like only a few weeks ago that you hit 100,000, and then obviously now it's up to about 107, 108 on Facebook.
110, I think it is, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's doing well, and people want to see it, and I think that's something that people will always want to see. Whilst the mainstream media might change, and like you say, newspapers might die out in 10, 20, 30 years, people always want to see fans talking rubbish about the teams they support, and I think it's something that the media will always want. And the more social media grows, just the more popular things like this will become, and we'll see more and more similar things to the fan shows just growing and becoming bigger and bigger. I think
people love to listen to biased commentary as well. But let's face it, in the last couple of years, I've hated the Liverpool and United connection on Sky and social and social media and TV. And all of a sudden we got Micah Richards, and he's an absolute breath of fresh air because he's a City fan and he sounds mint when he talks. And I think a lot of people really elevate to channels and media that are focused around their joy and their passion, and people that have got a similar mindset, and that's why I think the big social push has happened from there. I suppose the question is, Josh, for you is what's going to happen next? Where does this go? What's going to happen with Sports Bible and the plans for the future of social media and everything that's going into it?
Yeah, well, as you say that, today it was a weird one, because I don't know if you've seen, like, Facebook sort of had a bit of beef with Australia.
Yeah,
where,
I noticed that.
If you're in Australia, you couldn't access any news or share it or anything like that. I don't know exactly how it happened, but it filtered down to our page. So literally, we were posting stuff, and it was getting like less likes than I'd get on my Facebook status. And So we had to rethink it and sort of change our approach a bit. But like obviously Facebook is like the main source of traffic and stuff for us. Then there's your SEO stuff, your Instagram, and even your Twitter as well, because people are always reacting and active on there. I just think it keeps snowballing. And I know you said before about the written press, like the Manchester Evening News now will focus on their online stuff, and you see that like maybe not mimicking like methods, but certainly a lot of newspapers and stuff have had to change the way they put the content out because of the way the industry's changing, and that online presence and that. So yeah, I think that will just keep happening like that. And I mean, in the next 5 years, we'll have to see what happens. It'll be quite exciting.
The thing is with the likes of the Manchester Evening News, one thing that you notice is they've got a Manchester City Manchester Evening News, a Manchester United Manchester Evening News, a Stock, etc., etc. So they are doing similar to what we're doing. They're catering for the audience that's there that wants to listen to it focused. Even though you could probably bet. Go on. I was just going to say, and they literally copy and paste a post of ours a week at Manchester Evening News, Man City. Don't think we had noticed. Yeah, we know what you're doing, lads. We know what you're doing. It's all right, though. You know, it's fine. It's fine.
I've got another one for you. And this don't want to sound bitter, but like you touched on it, Tom, about biased commentary and whatever. Now, do you know a steam company that Stephen... I can't remember his name.
McKinney?
Yeah. Shout out, not our plug, but go on. Anyway, he got a beef with that Manchester Evening News, the Man United reporter, didn't he? And he put, this, Stephen, is why you'd never get a job here. Now, do you find that, like, obviously you're both young lads, do you find that you'd struggle to get into a mainstream paper because they're sort of like, they've got their group of writers, this is their gang, or they're like focus more on, we're a bit of a Liverpool paper. We don't need another City guy. Do you get what I mean, or am I wrong with that?
Yeah, I get what you mean. But I think sometimes it is like who you know, and that's a big part of it. So there definitely is some sort of like cliques going on within the industry. But like, I don't think it should matter what team you support. And I think that interaction that I think it was at Lucas, wasn't it, with the steam company. It did show. I mean, he came across very, very badly, and rightly got a lot of criticism, I thought, for the way he sort of was like belittling his way of doing things. And I mean, each to their own. He seems to be still doing pretty well, doing his own thing. So it just shows that, I mean, his opinion isn't that relevant, really.
Yeah, I think one major transformation of the way the traditional press is now into the online press is the Athletic do it very well. They are,
definitely.
They have sort of capitalised on that gap in the market where they are. Some of them are old school traditional press, but they've gone into the online market, and everything they do is online, and everything's on top. They've got some great writers there.
Yeah,
you know, so I think that's helping the transition really between traditional media and the online media now. I think that is the gap in between, and it's bringing in like. Because if you follow certain writers, which some people do, if they're on the Athletic, you're following that writer to them, and then you're on an online platform for all the sports.
Yeah.
Which then once you're online, if you get the traditional media, you're online, and you're consuming, like Josh says there, with Sports Bible, all the other wings online with Facebook and Instagram. And once you're in that, you're in, and you transform then.
It's a funny one because the Athletics reporter for City, Sam Lee, is a United fan.
Yeah,
isn't he? So he talks really sensibly, which is quite surprising for a United fan. So
yeah,
I will say this. I will say this with that Sam Lee, whenever he writes out, there's just like 30 people going, "Shut up, you rag." That is what I like about Twitter.
Got that a lot.
I think when the Athletic first started, it was sort of people looked at it like no one's going to pay a monthly fee to read sports content that you can get from wherever else. And a lot of people sort of said there's no chance this is ever going to work out. And I think they've shown that they've got their niche, which is in-depth, extended sort of features that you wouldn't see anywhere else. And I think you say about Sam Lee, and he was on the press conference last night after the game, which I was listening to, and people asked the sort of the mainstream papers asked the sort of generic questions of what were your thoughts on the game? How do you feel with the win? How do you feel breaking another record? And Sam Lee came in and he asked something really niche about Gundogan and compared him to sort of Iniesta and players like that Guardiola had worked with. And you can tell that they've got sort of their narrative of what they want to discuss before a ball's been kicked in the game, and that's what they'll run with. And it works really well for them. And that's just another thing of how the media is evolving. But going back to what Josh said before about sort of what you like, who you know, and sort of the clicks that you get in sort of in organisations. And I think I've found since coming out of uni, I've applied for 1,000,001 jobs, and the vast majority of them are wanting X amount of experience, which as a university graduate, I'm not going to have that experience. And it's being caught in that position between needing experience to get the job, but not having enough experience to get any jobs, and then you can't get the experience without working. And I think getting in places that you know is obviously the ideal route through for anyone, but at the same time, I think you do have to be careful about what you say. Whilst it doesn't matter who you support, if I go on Twitter and dog United every day, I'm not going to get a job writing about United. And I do find myself sometimes tweeting something and thinking, actually, you know what, I better get rid of that just in case it comes across the wrong way. And that's kind of the decision you take when you try and get into an industry like this. And it is something where you just got to consider the fact that you don't want to piss anyone off. Sometimes it is hard to not say, when United get beat by Sheffield United, you want to go on Twitter and go, have a bit of that, you can't, but you can't. So it is.
You need is a second Twitter account. That's exactly what you need.
I found my old Twitter account the other day, and I changed my name on it, and I changed my picture to a picture of my dog, so that no one, so that if it ever comes around in a job interview, they won't be able to link it back to me. But I don't want to delete it because I've got some quality tweets on there. So
well, Tom,
I've prioritised that and put it off the grid.
Well, having worked in recruitment for 20 years, Tom, I can absolutely assure you what you're saying there is I've had that conversation hundreds of times. Well, if I'm not suited for this job, how am I going to get experience? Sorry, it's honestly, it's a yearly, weekly thing.
Praying for that break, that I come across the right thing at the right time, because I know, I'm not saying I'm the best journalist in the world, and by no means am I saying that, but I sort of know that I've got the ability that if I do get that first break, I'll be okay to get into a proper full-time job. But it's just waiting for those opportunities to come around, which in the current climate as well, they're few and far between anyway. It's a very competitive industry, the journalism industry, the sports journalism industry, and just waiting for that opportunity to come around. But I just keep hoping that it comes at some point, you know what I mean?
I think if you're doing bits of Bavel, though, you're onto a good thing there, because they've got it bang on. I think the setup, and I did a few bits from like back in the day, and like experience-wise, you getting. I mean, if you go into Premier League games and stuff, like covering it, there's literally no better experience than that. But obviously, you want that paycheck, don't you? But yeah, if you just stick at it, like it will come. You gotta keep going.
I got a quick one for the journals then. So now, you guys are getting in the position where you conduct interviews and are part of the press and stuff. As you've been witness to that, do you think that now managers are being exposed to the fan side of a question rather than traditional stuff? You're getting better responses from them. It's like these say, for instance, Guardiola's probably been in press conferences 3 times a week for 15 years. And he'll be getting drilled the same questions. It's like a robot. But then you get a refreshing question from Sports Bible, or like from someone like Tommy, who's like, he's not necessarily high up on the ranking, but you're asking questions which they're having thought provoking. I think that's why this sort of media is it's booming, because people are seeing questions coming from somebody like that, like them. It's like they're asking a question to somebody like Pep or to Sean Dyche, and something like you're asking a question to somebody, and you're getting a genuine answer, which they are like, bit taken aback by, and they've got to put some thought into it rather than robotic, generic answers.
Yeah, definitely. I like the Sean Dyche thing the other day, where he basically just sat the whole press conference off, didn't he, just to talk about football lookalikes. That's the type of content we're wanting, because like you say, it's a very robotic monologue. Who's available? Looking forward to the next game. Blah blah blah. It is a bit generic, and I know they've got to do it for the previews and the post match, but it does get very repetitive. So when you get someone doing that and putting a different slant on it, it's refreshing to see. I know when we do interviews as well, like it's like we could ask the most fascinating question, but then our audience just might not care about it at all. And so we change things up where, like, it's just a more fan-led way of doing things rather than it's a modern way of doing things rather than just asking him who's the best player you played against, because it gets repetitive. So I remember one when I've done with Sancho, a lot of it was like FIFA based and stuff, and it was a bit tricky to pull off because his agents were a bit like, oh, you can't ask about Pep, you can't ask about this, you can't ask about that. But I think sometimes when you do that sort of stuff, the players they get into it a lot more and they're relaxed, because then again they're so media trained, and the amount of times you hear, oh, good 3 points, looking forward to the next game, does my head in them interviews. That's why I love seeing people like Maddison, who he just speaks normally, just the way, and it's just refreshing to see.
Like Patrick Bamford on Sky the last few weeks,
brilliant,
just brilliant.
Love seeing it, just so honest, and just
interviews,
just
and
how he would normally talk, rather than putting all the cliches in there.
He's in his mid-20s, you know. He's not designed to talk like a 40-year-old, is he?
No.
Coming out with traditional answers,
Yeah, more of that, please.
Do you know what you're saying now, Josh, when you said about like the fan-led media, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've been bigging up social media for people like us and using that, but that is the one thing that I dislike about it, right? I'm no writer. If you ever read mine, anything I've written, it's probably spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, but I don't care. I put effort into it, right? I put a right effort into a massive post about Tony Bull, how we sign him, everything. It got 124 likes. I put a picture of a Phil Foden, no writing, 1,000.
Oh, that's standard on it. That's how it works. Like, there's plenty of different things I would like to have done, ideas and stuff, and then I've done a few different features. I remember I did a Sunday League feature, and it was like every type of Sunday League player, and I thought it was a good idea because you could talk about like the tough tackling centre half, or the winger who's always moaning, or the guy who's only there to make up the numbers and all that sort of thing. No one cared about it, and it is a disheartening thing. But if I do something on I don't know, a back heel from Zlatan in 5 seconds, and then he lost the ball 10 seconds after, it might do mad numbers. That's just the way people consume it. It's weird.
It's not got a luck involved in the timing that the posts go out as well. Well, not luck, but it's more analytically driven, I can imagine. But is the time?
Yeah, it can be. Definitely, like, you want to be on something straight away. But yeah, sometimes it is just a lottery. Like, sometimes it don't do well, but then you notice certain patterns. Like, for us, we had certain spells where certain names were big. Like, remember a couple of years ago, everyone was buzzing over Kante, wasn't they? And like, he was the best thing. He's so happy, so humble. Like, he couldn't do no wrong, and everything on him would bang. And then people stop caring in a way. So things go in cycles. When the trends are out, you just got to be on them and keep riding.
It's like the Mr. Whippy thing with Ilkay, isn't it? Mr. Whippy with Ilkay. It's, It was the Poznan a couple of years ago for City. It's little things like that come back, don't they? Bring back the Poznan.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, everyone loved Mendy stuff, didn't they? And then he wasn't really performing on the pitch, and then I think a lot of people got bored of him. I'm like, yeah, stop tweeting now, mate. But yeah, I don't know. That's just the way we're in at the moment.
Right. Anything else to add, lads, before we move on to football?
No, I think we've
oh yeah, we are a footballing podcast.
We have to talk a bit about football, don't we? I've quite enjoyed this now. I've quite enjoyed this. Yeah,
it's been insightful about it.
You need to be careful, Josh and Tom. You lads talk a lot of sense, you know. You might have to come on here again. Right, 3-1. Anyone else have doubts at half-time yesterday?
Yes. Yeah,
come on, tell us what your thoughts of the game was, Josh.
I thought we were... We had a good record at Goodison of late, but I thought, I don't know, is it too good to be true here? I mean, we weren't particularly good, I didn't think, first half. We had a good little spell, and then I think we had a chance with the Corey at the far post, and then they punished us with the one which is quite sloppy on our part, I thought, the Richarlison goal. But this team have got the mentality monsters. I know that's the phrase Liverpool used a lot, and they've definitely not living up to it these days, but there is a belief there, and like they know that they've got the quality now. And then in the big moments, people like Bernardo and Mahrez step up to the mark and do the job.
I was so happy for Mahrez yesterday, and I still see people slating him, and I generally just don't understand City fans sometimes. I'm
a slater, mate. I'm on the anti-Mahrez camp, and I'll just put it bluntly now. The only reason I'm like that is because the next 4 games you could go missing. He could absolutely go missing, and he has a wonder game, and he gets himself some credit in the bank. I want to see Mahrez doing this 2 times, 3 times out of 4 or 5 games. I want that. I want Mahrez to do better. He can do it. I'm disappointed in him, which is why I think a lot of us are like that. I want him to do this week in, week out. You know, he can have the off week. We all have them. Everyone has them. But it's like you can't go from playing against Cheltenham and get marked out of the game by a part-time fullback to then doing this against Everton. You know what I mean? You can't do that and then expect not to get criticised.
The consistency is key.
Yes, that's it. That's all it is, the consistency, because that is what's stopping him from being classed as a really, really good, influential player for us. For a lot of us doubters out there, it's because it's there. All the stats are there to see. If he can do this now for 3 games in a row, then fair enough. Although my hands will say, actually, I'll probably be harsh. But if he's in the next game, he gets dragged off after 60 minutes, he's had 2 touches of the ball, then, you know, he's good game versus his bad game. Which one are you going to remember?
Pep does love him, though, doesn't he? Pep puts him in the side.
You can see why, but it's got to be frustrating. You know, he's got to do more.
I'll say this about Mahrez, right? Yesterday, like, I agree with you, Brian. He isn't consistent. He ain't consistent. But in that first half, he was putting some lovely balls in, right? I thought in the first half, he was doing the right thing. Like you say, the first half, I put him to our group chat. I was like, Walker, he may as well not be on. He's just, I never thought this, but he didn't offer enough like Cancelo offers. And I thought we missed Cancelo up right. But I did genuinely think, I thought Mahrez looked creative. Them balls to that back post, he put like 2 or 3 into Jesus, and I thought, I didn't obviously think he was going to score, but I did think he's playing well. But when he did score, what I noticed, the whole team around him, slapping his head, giving him like more than just a celebration. It felt like they were proper getting into him. So, I mean, I'm just speculating here. I wonder if he's got something off-field going on, and that's why he's been a bit inconsistent this season. Because, all right, he's not ever been a world beater for us, but he's definitely played better than he has this year. Especially last year.
It can't be easy being with the expectations he's got away from our club as well. I mean, I think we all know that he is an idol to an awful lot of people in another part of the world, you know, and he has got that expectation shoulders, and he's had that since he basically turned up for Leicester that time, and he's been the best player that Algeria's ever had. You know, and to have that and not that's going to be a big thing to carry on his shoulders.
It's a funny one, this, isn't it? There's so many. Consistency is key with football. Pep keeps playing him. I think. Do you think the question is? Do you think we're going to come on to Arsenal again in a minute? But do you think he's going to play? Do you think he'll start on Sunday?
Not sure. Actually.
I've got a sneaky feeling Aguero.
Do you think he'll start?
I don't think he'll start for a bit, mate.
Aguero.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he'll ease him in.
I mean, I think you've got to start Mahrez, haven't you? He's had a good game.
Yeah, I can see him starting.
I think he's the sort of person where you have to keep playing if he's playing well, because
confidence player, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Foden had a few good games in a row, and then he gets put on the bench and comes on the sub and has a good game. You can somebody like Foden can probably swallow that and say, actually, I'm ready to go. Mahrez, you know, when he comes on as a sub and stuff, he just doesn't look bothered. He needs to be in there in the first minute and at it.
It's funny, isn't it? I'm looking at all the records City have broken. I can't get my head around it. I was talking to you last night, Tom. I'm refusing to get excited at the minute. I am flat out refusing to get excited about City doing really well this season. I just don't want anything to go wrong. Dan, you're the same, aren't you? You're the opposite as me, aren't you, Dan? You think we're going to win? If we win the next couple of games, and we've won everything in World Cup, FA Cup.
Yeah, I've dropped ribbons off. Ready for it. It's happening, mate.
Ready for the piss up?
No, I've said before the Spurs game, if we win his next 5, and I mean win him, not just not lose. If we win his next 5 games, we have won that league in my eyes, and that might come back and bite me in the arse. But them 5 games, we beat Spurs, we beat Everton, beat Arsenal on Sunday. It's Sunday, Anyway, West Ham and then Man United. If we win all them, I think we've won the league. I genuinely do.
I said if we win 4 of those 5, I think that's us done, and we've won 2 of them. So I think by then we've got 27 games in. We'll have to lose half of our remaining games, and look at the form we're in. It's going to be hard from there.
17 wins in a row is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Because at the start of the season, we were very, very sloppy, weren't we? Like we obviously had the Leicester one where they destroyed us on the counter. Some really bad draws as well, like West Ham. We were just really poor. Leeds, I think we were lucky to actually get a point. Before they battered us. And then out of nowhere, we had a couple of... We got a big win at Southampton when they were in form, didn't we? Sort of grinded it out. And then, obviously, the COVID break. And then when the Chelsea game comes around, that one game completely transformed our season. And I think it's a different sort of team to the 2 previous title-winning teams under Pep. I think the 17-18 was the most exciting, with the 100 points. And then I think the second side that won, I think they've been winning like something last 14 games in a row. That was a resilient team, and then you've seen similar with this team, where I don't think we're as exciting as the first title-winning team under Pep, but we're effective and resilient. And when you got someone like Diaz, you got Stones, Cancelo, and you got solidity there, then you know that you create them chances like we do. You know you've got a good chance, and it's madness. Like we were struggling. We never really replaced Vinny, did we? And then now we've got the man at the back, and
it's bonkers. It's bonkers how quickly it's changed, and our defence has just turned into unbreakable. Go on.
If you look back to that Manchester derby,
yeah,
and at the time we was all a bit downbeaten, saying this is crap what we're doing. But if you look how important that fixture was to where we are now, I remember saying about that. I said, look. Forget that fact that we didn't play well. It's the stability we've and confidence we've gained from playing. That was the first time I think we started playing a little bit different, a bit more defensive minded, a bit more solid. I think that then has been like, we've done that. Regardless of what United have done since then and stuff, it's the foundation we laid in those early games is what we're reaping the benefits from now.
100%.
Mika Richards didn't nail her head in that game after the Man U game. He said, "Yeah, it's been a 0-0." But if City had took those 3 or 4 chances, it'd have been dead and buried that game. And I took that from that game. Yeah, I was disappointed with that 0-0, but I thought they didn't have a sniff, Man U. And like you say, if we'd have just took them chances, and now we're seeing it, we are taking them chances. I think it was Mike Lowen yesterday said, if you were Everton, you're wanting Bernardo Silva and Mahrez to take them shots. Do you know what I mean? Usually it's pass. Get in behind him, cross it, bang, tap in. We don't usually shoot from outside box like that, do we?
No, but there's good variety in our play now as well. For a bit, we were starting to get a bit predictable, and you can sort of double up on certain players. But now we've got our fullback who's playing in midfield at the same time.
Yeah. And
not just sitting in midfield, like playmaking. And I think Pep's done a lot of mad stuff in his time, hasn't he? Like he playing Lam in midfield, Mascherano was a centre-back. This Cancelo in midfield thing is one of his greatest sort of experiments, I think, and I'm all for it.
Do you remember when the first time he tried that? Do you remember the first games he tried that, when he put Gero Clichy and...
Yeah, but you need a certain skill set. Yeah, you need a certain skill set, don't you?
Was that at Old Trafford he tried that as well? Sure, it
was one of the first games. I remember
Gero Clichy was in the middle. I was like, what's this? And it seemed to... That was like the foundations he was getting his head. I think this can work.
Yeah. And I think Delph did a decent job at it, didn't he? But Cancelo, like he's the perfect man for it. I think he's proving like he's a lot better defensive than I actually initially thought he was. But he's an attack-minded player, isn't he? And like he can play those De Bruyne sort of passes. He can dribble past people. He's got a good shot on him. He's been one of our best players this season, 100%.
Well, I was doing Tom, I said to you, didn't I? I said, I'm going to go to bed, I'm going to watch something in telly in bed, I'm going to get my phone out and calculate how many games we need to win now, because I needed to sleep last night. We need 11 wins from 14 games, and that doesn't count what happens with Leicester and United. And that was it then. After last night, I was thinking, oh God, why have I done this? I've jinxed it now, I've jinxed it. it's well within our hands. We're 10 points clear. I should be more positive than what I am, but I'm just thinking if I get too excited, the negative will come and bite me on the arse. I don't know how you can sleep.
I'd say those 11 wins we've got to get there. You're assuming that all those other teams are going to win all their games, which they are not going to do.
Yeah,
they have to play each other.
Yeah,
they have to play each other. They're going to knock bells out of each other off the rest of the season. They're going to be all them teams behind us are going to be scrapping for second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. You know, like I say, if we can win, you say 11 games. I think realistically, we'd only need to win 8. So, you know, if we win 8, I think that's enough. I think that's enough. 8's plenty between now and the end of the season.
So go on, Tommy.
I said to you last night, Tom, that I think we'll sort of win the league by double digits, and I maintain that. And I said again last night that the reason that we are doing so well and that we are so good is that we've got such quality spread around our squad that we've got a different player dragged us through a game every week. We had Phil Foden running the show at Anfield, then we had Gundogan against Spurs. Last night we had Bernardo and Mahrez. We've got, like I said again, if Bruno Fernandes doesn't play well for United, they don't win games. If Jamie Vardy's scoring goals for Leicester aren't winning games. We've got Kevin De Bruyne, the best midfielder in the world, out. We've had Aguero play 5 games all season, but we've got such quality in the squad and such a good sort of cohesion in the fact that players like Ferran Torres, who was really good at the start of the season, one of our best players throughout the first couple of months, now hasn't played so much as of late, but he's still, the squad is always happy to do this rotation thing that we do under Pep, because they know that when they come in, they're that good at what they do and they fit Pep's style so well that any one of them on any given night can win us a game. And like we said, some people would have questioned Mahrez in the squad last night, and he was the reason we won the game. And we've just got that ability to have we're a great team, but we've also got enough quality within the individual players that anyone can win us a game. And that's why I just can't see, I can't see any other team stringing together a run of 6, 7, 8 games to put us under any real pressure. But I also, the way that we're playing at the minute and the way the individuals are playing, we'd have to have a really, really bad night, and we'd have to have someone play really well just to beat us. And we're not going to have 5 really bad nights, 6 really bad nights before the end of the season, because we're just too good. And the way we're playing at the minute, I just don't see anyone getting close to us at all. But it's just a case of transferring that over to Europe now and continuing sort of, we set good foundations in the Champions League group, which when we weren't playing well in the league, it was the Champions League where we were playing well, and it was like, well, we can do it. And if we can sort of continue that form into Europe, I genuinely do think I can't see anyone beating us over 2 legs. I hate to say it, but I really can't see anyone on current form beating us over 1 game of football. Anything can happen, but over 2 legs, I don't see who beats us.
I think the only way we do lose anything is if we beat ourselves, really, with coming from the top with a crazy formation, decision sort of style. I think that's the only way that any team beats us at the minute. Really, we could easily get to the Champions League final. You play 5 at the back and 2 false nines, something we've not played all season. You know what I mean? But I think at this point now, given our form and the way we're playing and the players we've got to come back, and like Tom just said there, the players that are stepping up. Like in January, John Stones was probably arguably the player of the month, and now you look at February's passing, Gundogan, you know, and nothing to say that next month it could be Mahrez, you know, or Sterling could score 6 goals in 7 games, you know, and he'll be up there. So we have got those contributions. So I think we stick to what we're doing and we keep things going. Like I said, Tom said then, the Champions League, over 2 legs would fancy us, but in regards to the Champions League and the league at the minute, the only thing that can stop us is ourselves, really. So
we play Mönchengladbach next Wednesday, 8 o'clock kickoff. Massive. Every game's a massive game. I don't know why I keep saying this. It is. It's absolutely bonkers. But that's us in the first leg. We're away, aren't we? Are we playing in? Where are we playing? Budapest. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment. But the Arsenal game this Sunday. What's everyone's thoughts about this? And is Gundogan going to be back yet? Do we know? Has anyone heard anything off? I've not seen much reports today.
I think Pep said he was sort of not quite ready to play against Everton. Okay. So that suggests that it's not a long-term thing. He'll probably be on the bench with De Bruyne, I'd imagine. But yeah, he'll be there or thereabouts. But for starters, I'm not overly concerned about Arsenal. They're playing much better now than they have been doing throughout the first sort of half of the season. They're playing in Benfica tonight. They're playing now, I think, and they've played a full-strength squad. They've got, I think they know their sort of best route into getting into the Champions League next season is to win the Europa League. And I think they're sort of focusing on that, and they've shown that tonight. They're, like I said, they're playing a full-strength side tonight. And I think they will have more worries about. Is there a second leg next week? I'm not sure if it's.
And that leg is away again. So they're playing in Hungary against Benfica tonight, and they're playing in Greece next Thursday against Benfica due to travel restrictions. So they've got two Europa League away, us, and then I think they play Liverpool possibly next weekend. They play away the next weekend as well. I'm sure they do. So they've got a bit of a pretty hectic schedule.
They'll prioritise.
Arsenal play Leicester a week after second leg against Benfica, so they've got 4 tough games there, including tonight.
That's a tough game, isn't it? Yeah, it's a tough one, that. I've just noticed, thanks Neil who sent this through, United have got to play Chelsea and Liverpool and us in the next couple of games. So,
so
let them lump each other together.
Yeah, the 6 pointers for everyone, and every game they play against each other is one less that someone's going to potentially catch us up. So
this period's crucial. I think this running, if we have a substantial lead going into after this little run of games, then we'll be in a very good position to do it, and it'll take quite the collapse that maybe I don't think we would be capable of. Look so good.
I've just seen Arsenal in 10th. What's happened to Arsenal?
The shit.
What's going on there?
They're not the same team.
Well, they were like 13th, 14th for a while. When they are improving.
In the relegation battle, people saying, weren't they? But the thing is, they're in 10th, but they're only sort of, what are they there? 8 points off the top 4, which at the stage of season isn't insurmountable. I think for me, if I was Mikel Arteta, I'd see Arsenal's best bet at getting into the Champions League next season as winning the Europa League, and I think they will. And they've shown that again, like I say, with his selection tonight. So I think unless they go and I think they 0-0 at half time, unless they go and sort of win 3-0 in the second half, I think if it's tight going into that second leg, I think that's a bigger game for them than us on Sunday. And I think if they're going to rotate, I think they'll rotate against us rather than...
because Aubameyang started tonight for them. I don't think he's going to be up for starting 3.
So what you think Arsenal will just take it on the chin playing us and just play a weakened team to focus on other big games?
I don't know if it'll be a weak. It won't be a weakened team. They won't play a bad side, but they've started the same team 2 games in a row. It's unchanged from when they beat Leeds at the weekend, and they're going to have to make rotations. And yeah, I think if you looked at which one on paper for them is a more winnable game per se, I'd say Benfica in the Europa League is one that they would target as a win more so than playing us. They won't come out and play that stinky keeper who played in the Carabao Cup or anything like that. But I do think people like Willian will probably play on Sunday. They'll rest a couple of players ahead of that second leg. And even if they do play a full strength 11, I think the way we're playing, unless we play really badly, I go into every game now. I said it to you last night, Tom. Not every game I see, normally going to Goodison Park, I'd say, if we can get a point there, that's a good result. But every game now, we've got to go in with the mindset of winning, because we are the best team in the league and we're the best team in Europe on current form. No team comes close to us at the minute. And if we start then doubting ourselves and going, oh, well, if we can take a point today and we start to change the way we play, then we'll start falling off a bit. We just need to keep going with the same mentality as we got at the minute for me.
So, Tom, are you aiming for the maximum points we can get is 98 points now till the end of the season? What do you think we're going to end with?
I think we'll sort of... I think it all kind of depends, because if we are sort of 16, 17 points clear by the time the next leg of the Champions League comes around, if we get past Gladbach, does Pep then start thinking, oh, well, I'll sort of prioritise? I don't think Pep would ever put a really weak team out, but would he start
I don't think we can put weak teams out.
We don't have a weak team.
I think I'll see a bit more rotation, won't we?
Yeah, we've got to be aiming for it sort of the way we're playing, at least sort of 88, 90 points. You've got to be looking at, don't you? Because who beats us the way we're playing? No one beats us the way that we're playing. If we carry on, eventually we must drop points somewhere. There's no way we can win every... Well, I say it, we could, but it's unlikely that we win every game between now and the end of the season. But I don't see us losing any games. And I think at maximum, I see us drawing maybe 1 or 2. So, yeah, I'd be looking at 90 plus points by the end of the season.
Dan, here's a question for you, pal. Do you know what the odds are for City and United to win the league? Neil Horrell's just kindly sent them over to me.
For City to win the league?
Yeah.
1 to 50.
1 to 50. And United are 33 to 1. That tells you.
I text it my mate every morning.
Is he a United fan?
Yeah.
I think last time I checked as well, we were 12-1 to win the quadruple. To win all 4, we're sort of 3 times as likely to win all 4 as United are to win the league in plays, which is bad.
Honestly, I pinch myself sometimes.
I will tell you a bet I have had. Only a pound on it. 2,500 to 1. Aguero to score 20 plus Premier League goals this season.
How is he on?
Oh.
Zero.
I actually am not sure if we'll see Aguero play live again.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, which is quite a depressing thought.
Yeah.
Do you know what though, Josh? I actually said this very early on in the season, didn't I, Tom, in one of our podcasts? Yeah. I says that injury, his age, let's just he might never actually play again. But it's worth a pound, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, if he scores 20 goals between now and the end of the season, then I think we'll be seeing a lot more of him for next year. If that doesn't earn a contract, then I don't know what will.
He'll be also lifting the Premier League trophy, won't he? There's much chance about that. Crikey. Here's to it then. Right, score predictions, lads. Josh, you can go first, pal. So this is Sunday's game at Arsenal.
I'll go a solid 2-0.
Yeah, like that. Brian?
5-1.
Nice. Tom?
3-1. No, 3-0. 3-0. We're not conceding.
Dan?
4-0.
4-0. So
Mahrez hat-trick.
No, Sergio hat-trick, surely, with your bet.
Yeah, I'm hoping Sergio scores 6.
Newcastle.
He'll be on 19 and his knee will go. Oh, belted. Right, okay, let's have a bit of a chat before we go for the Gladbach games. Obviously, we've talked about it in great detail. Where we're at the moment in the Premier League, I know we've spoken about this briefly a minute ago, but the focus has to be on Champions League now, doesn't it? If you're Pep, you're thinking, I don't want another Leon. We've got to be 100% focused into this. Do you think he'd? What's your thoughts, Josh and Brian, on the potential of sacrificing Premier League points now with 10 points clear with a view to solidifying the Champions League?
I don't think Pep's got it in him, has he?
No,
I don't think he's got it in him to do that.
Hasn't. He won't rotate. He won't take anything lightly. He'll put his best team out every week.
Yeah, he can make a couple of changes here and there because, like, if Mahrez doesn't play, you could bring someone else in, like Gundogan, De Bruyne. We got options everywhere. But I mean, I think he got asked last night, didn't he, about was it something about like being in a good position to win a league, and his answer was literally Arsenal. So he's never thinking too far ahead. But at the same time, he'll want to get it right in the Champions League as well, because I think he has been guilty of overthinking a bit too much in them big games. Liverpool, Spurs away, Lyon, which was like a disaster in the end. And but I think we're much better suited now. And it's mad that one big signing at the back can literally change your whole mentality and the whole makeup of the team. So I think we are much better placed to for Champions League this year.
I think he takes great pleasure in having the team firing every week.
Yeah.
So if we're smashing teams in the Premier League, he knows that team is going to be up for it in the next game, regardless of that's a cup, Champions League, or whatever. So if we start taking a foot off the gas in the league, he knows that mindset is not at the top like he wants it. He doesn't want that to bleed into a Champions League game. Yeah. I think that's why he takes, even if we only need 1 win out of 7 games to win the Premier League and win the quarterfinal Champions League, he will put his best teams out. He will put his best available team, and that best available means just is somebody, could do with a rest, maybe only plays 20 minutes, that sort of thing. But I don't think we'll see wholesale changes to the team where it's like 8 changes to a Premier League team. I think it will be the best team available every game. Keep that mentality in that level.
You're right with that. Me and Tom Young mentioned this. I think it was after we beat Burnley 5-0. If your team if your whoever the front three are, score goals, it breeds more goals into the team. Because you're Mahrez, you're on bench, you're thinking, Ferran Torres just scored 2. I need to pull my socks up, or I'm not playing. He gets given that opportunity, and he has to take it. Same with the centre backs. Like John Stones is probably thinking, if I'm playing Sunday against Arsenal, I'm taking that game by the bollocks. Do you know what I mean? To keep Laporte out, and that is one thing about Pep playing these strong teams. Like we say, it's still squad rotation, and I've said this all along with Pep. That guy knows how to manage a player's minutes. All our players' minutes are pretty low, considering like Bruno Fernandes. I think he's on nearly 3,000 minutes compared to Raheem Sterling, who's played like 2,200. It is a massive thing. So
you don't even notice that, do you? You think Raheem Sterling plays every minute of every game. You just think that, don't you?
Exactly. This is what I'm saying, and I think Pep, like a lot of Blues are going, oh, play youth, but this is what makes a competitive side. You want Gundogan going to him, going, I'm fucking playing Tuesday against Cheltenham. That's what you want. You want a World Cup winner telling him he's playing at Cheltenham away. Well, you know what I mean?
Not necessarily Cheltenham the team, but that rotating a team out to get some young kids in, and that there is a benefit to having these young lads playing. You know, these fringe players like Tommy Doyle and these young lads like that. Of course, there's a benefit to that, but there's more of a benefit to keeping the team as good as it can be every week, because once that is ticking and ticking and ticking, then if Tommy Doyle comes in, say we're down to bare bones, he comes in the central midfielder. He's coming in to do a job in a team that is absolutely purring, rather than Tommy Doyle's going in to play a game where we're not necessarily at our strongest and he's going to struggle to do as best as he can. You want those lads coming in to play in the best team at the best levels all the time.
Exactly.
This is exciting, isn't it? I can't wait for this. I'm really looking forward to the Arsenal game. I'm loving these predictions. So you four are predicting 14-1 between you. So you're all quite confident, which is nice to see. But it's going to be one of them, isn't it? I can see us having a slow first half. Pep bringing the changes at half time and us coming out strong in the second half and getting a couple of goals. Fingers crossed. Right, lads.
Well,
go on. Last one.
Quick. Their managers agreed to manage Dortmund next year, haven't they?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we see what happened to Pellegrini.
He could not be asked one bit at the end, could he?
Pep will pull him to one side at the end of the game and go, hey, that Haaland kid, you've not got him next season. He's going to be with me. So
Imagine.
Right, love you and leave you, lads. Have a great night. Thanks for joining us, Josh, Brian, Tom, Dan. Have a great night, boys.
See you later.
Catch you later, lads. See you later. Bye.
Bye.